waka when you enter Malija. Baby, gonna, will you give me sugar? Wala, Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Baby, follow my command like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Follow my command like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I no go do me corny. And if you're milky na fighty, I saw me to look. Gelato honey, oh baby, smile deep. Baby, gonna, waka when you enter Malija. Baby, gonna, will you give me sugar? Wala, Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Girl, I'll be foolish if I don't let you indulge me. Your lips like poison, I'll take my chance with you. Ibadi alota pirotore kelewa. You're in denial, I'll show you I'm loyal. You want that bomb way down like tsunami ore kelewa. Oh, yeah. Would you hold me down in the gonna, waka when you enter Malija. Baby, gonna, will you give me sugar? Wala, Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Please, your mic should be muted. Okay, please can you hear me? Just in the chat, if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Just indicate in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, let me check. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, great. So I want to welcome all of you to our section on getting started with data analytics. And we are happy that you guys have joined this section for us to share our knowledge and experience with each other when it comes to data analytics. So you are welcome once again to Firstman Learning Hub. So let us quickly introduce ourselves in the chat. So just your name and then where you are joining us from. So I'm going to start right away. So just your name and then where you are joining the section from. So where you are joining us from, just your name and then where you are joining the section from. So we have Mary joining us from UK. We have Atu joining from Cape Coast. We have Dorcas joining from Accra. We have Stephanie joining from Accra as well. We also have Afed from Dankomen. We have Samuel joining from Accra, Manasseh joining from Accra, Philip, Richard, Joshua, Israel, Daniel, Dennis, Sami. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining the section today. Okay, so we also have Michael joining us from Accra. So this section is put together by Firstman Learning Hub, which is a digital learning company that provides premium digital skills in data science, data analytics, financial modeling, and then UX design. So this is one of our series that we are starting currently on digital skills. So we are going to be providing some free trainings on weekends on how you'll be able to develop your digital skills. Now, you know, the world that we live in currently is becoming digital. Most companies are adopting digital innovations. They are coming up with new products and services. They are moving most of their things online. So this means that people with digital skills are going to be in demand. Not they are even in demand. Okay. So this section is going to provide you with a high level introduction to data analytics and data science. So if you want to start a career in that space, then this section is going to give you a heads up on how you'll be able to start that journey. So I'm not going to waste much time. I'm going to zoom straight into the section on how to get started with data analytics. Okay, so now let's get a section started. So first, we are going to look at the meaning of data, and then we're also going to look at the meaning of data analytics. So when we talk about data, we all know what data is all about. So we talk about data, we are looking at a collection of facts, which include numbers, images, audios, video devices, and then other observations. So for example, the meeting that we are having right now, we are generating data because at the end of this presentation, I can go to the backstage of Zoom. I can see the number of people who joined the meeting currently, how many of us were here, the minutes each of us spent during this meeting. So when you talk about data, it's not like the data that you have on your phone. Here we are talking about data, which is a fact. And this fact may include numbers, images, audio devices, video, and then other observations. All these amount to data. Now think about messages that you have received on your phone just today on WhatsApp. All these are generating data. Now think about Facebook, think about LinkedIn, and the other social media platforms that you are in or you are on. All these are examples of data. Look at the number of videos people are sending in every day. Look at the videos that you have watched on YouTube. Think about the searches that you have done on Google today. All these are contributing to the data that companies are generating currently. Now, when you talk about analytics, it's just about taking the data and trying to get meaning out of the data. So it's about identifying trends and patterns in the data. And the main focus that we perform data analytics is to try to generate business insights, which will help companies to make decisions. So the analytics, we are just picking data and we are trying to analyze the data to be able to discover some trends and patterns in the data, which you can use to make decisions. And most of us here, we have analyzed data. We almost analyze data every day. So just that you are not in a typical data analytics role doesn't mean you are not a data analyst. All of us here, we are data analysts because at one point in time, you analyze your data. Now think about this. If I ask you how much we spend on a monthly basis, some of you will be able to say the amount that you spend on a monthly basis. At some point, you have to sit back. Okay, I bought credit 2 cedis. Now the credit is finished. You want to analyze to see how many calls have I made in a day for the credit to finish. You talk about your data bundle. You go into your phone, you check how much you have consumed in a month or in a particular day. All these are about data analytics. You're analyzing your data to be able to get some insight, which you can use to make decisions. So for example, in my company, we have, in my office, we have a Wi-Fi that we all use. So at some point in time, we realized that the Wi-Fi or the data was finishing quickly than expected. So what we did was to check each other's phone. How much are we consuming every time that we connect to the Wi-Fi? Now, after we checked our phones, we realized that there's one of the guys whose consumption is more than 20 times than what each of us are using. Now, when we checked, the guy said he doesn't use the data to do anything. Just when he comes in, just use it to check his WhatsApp messages and other things. He doesn't use the data for anything. Then we decided to go into his phone and check the consumption for each of the apps on his phone. Now, after we checked, with the data bundle consumption, we have the for load or the for play and then the back one. So we have the data that we have apps that are consuming the data at the back stage. And we also have the apps that are using the data only when you open them. Now realize that his backstage apps were consuming the data. So we have so many apps that were behind the scenes consuming the data. Now what we did is to turn off the backload. I've forgotten the actual name, where you prevent apps from loading at the background. So we turn that option off. And from that moment to now, our data consumption has been normal. This is not about being a typical data analyst role before you be doing all these kind of things. We analyze data in our everyday life. So talk about analytics, we are just picking the data, trying to make sense out of the data, trying to discover pattern out of the data that we are using. So now, let's look at an example here. Now, this example here, we are looking at a phone company or a phone boutique that has offices in 5 African countries. Now, this is the raw data that the company has provided us. So within this data, you see that we have sales ID, we have the country, we also have the region, we also have the month of the sale, we have the year, we have the sales rep, and then we also have the brand of the phone that they are selling. Then we have the unit price of the phone, and then we also have the quantity that was sold, and then the total revenue or the total sales. Now the question is, which brand is selling more? Which brand is selling more? This one, looking at the raw data itself, you see that you don't get that insight from the data. Until we apply analytics, that's when we'll be able to use the data to answer this business question. So when you talk about data, this is an example of a data that we have here. But when you talk about analytics, it's just about taking this data and trying to discover trends and patterns out of this data. So out of this data, there's the insight that we can bring out of it. And this, we'll be able to get this insight when we have applied analytics, when we have analyzed the data. So upon analyzing this data, this is the key insight that we got from the data, that Apple is the most widely or the most in-demand product with the highest sale of 4,270,000 or 4,270. So with this, if you take a look at the raw data itself, you wouldn't get that insight. You wouldn't get that information until you apply analytics to the data. That's when you get some insights, which you can use to make decisions. So in this case, you can see that Apple is being sold more. So in that case, if you are going for brands, it means you have to invest more in the Apple so that you'll be able to sell more because people are more interested in this particular brand. So here it's about applying analytics to the data. You are trying to discover insights. You are trying to discover trends in the data, and you can use this to make business decisions. Now, let's talk about the job landscape for data analytics. Is this something that will give you a job? How the job market looks like for data analysts or data scientists? Now, according to a report by World Economic Forum, they are saying that by 2025, new jobs are going to emerge, whilst other jobs are going to be displaced. Now, out of this report, here it gives you that we are going to, by 2025, about 97 million new roles are going to be demanded, or new roles are going to be created, and about 85 million roles are going to be displaced. Now, out of this report, they highlighted some of the roles that are increasing in demand, roles that most companies are hiring for. Now, out of the top row, if you check the number one here, it's about data analyst and data scientist. The second one is about AI and machine learning specialist. The third is big data specialist. These are the roles that are going to be in demand from 2025 and beyond. So if you are somebody who has skills in data analytics, if you are somebody who can make sense out of data, these are the guys companies will be wanting to work with from this moment onward. Being able to make decisions out of data. Being able to make decisions out of data. Now let's look at this report in depth. So I'm going to share this report with you. So now this is the report. So you can search for it, Future of Work. This is a report that was done in 2020 about how the future of work would be like. Now you see that they have highlighted emerging and redundant roles. Now, if you take a look at this, emerging roles that are coming in, we have process automation specialists, people who will be able to help companies to automate their business processes. Then second, we have data analysts and data scientists. So if you are somebody who understands data, who is able to pick raw data and make sense out of the data, that is going to help companies to make decisions out of that data, then you are going to be in demand. And then they also highlighted some of the emerging skills that we have. People with analytical thinking and innovation, critical thinking and analysis. So if you are able to think critically and be able to apply analytics to whatever that you are doing, to go a long way to help you to be in demand. So that's something that we need to pay attention to. Now, let me also share another report, the same thing on the future of work. But here we are looking at South Africa. So here they analyze, or they came up with a report for different countries. So this is a report on South Africa. We don't have a report on Ghana, okay? But South Africa is also in African country, so we share the same demographics and other information. So this is what I showed you just recently about the jobs that are coming up and those that are going down. And this is the future of work reports on increasing demand and declining demand. And here we have data analysts and data scientists. We also have AI specialists and a machine learning specialist. We also have big data specialists. And fourth, we have digital marketing and strategy specialists. So if you take a look at this, all these are digital skills or tech-related jobs. So if you want to really transform your career, if you want to really stay relevant, it means you need to apply or you need to develop your data and analytics skills. And it's going to go a long way to help you in your career. Now, let's move on. Now, there was also another report that was done by Tableau. So those of us who know a little bit about data analytics and then business intelligence, Tableau is one of the powerful platforms for business intelligence. So what they did was to do a survey by asking some recruiters or hiring managers, what skills are they looking out for when they are hiring entry-level candidates? Now, this is what came out of the report. Now, the report is called Great. The name of the report is Great Data Literacy Gap. So out of this report, they realized that demand for digital skills exceeds the supply. The demand for digital skills exceeds the supply of digital skills. Now, let's look at some of the few insights that came out of the report. One, according to the surveyed recruiters, they ranked data literacy as the skills highest in demand for entry-level candidates. So if they are looking for people who are just out of school and they are hiring them for entry-level position, they rank data skills or data literacy as one of the key skills that they are looking out for. So they listed some of the key skills. Number one is data skills or data literacy. Number one is data skills or data literacy. And then number two is communication and collaboration skills. Number three is basic computer skills. Number four is project management skills. And number five is presentation or public speaking skills. So these are the 5 skills that most companies, when they are hiring for entry-level candidates, they look out for. Data skills or data literacy is number one. Because right now, most companies are collecting huge amounts of data. Now they are looking for people who can make sense out of those data. And that's what is going on in the job market currently. Now let's look at other insights that we can also get from this report. Now, this is what they also highlighted. Nearly everyone from HR to marketing to sales to customer service support need to have a solid foundation in data literacy in order to succeed in the modern workspace. So they asked the question, how important are data skills to each of the following departments when you are hiring entry-level candidates? IT, data skills is about 95% important. They talk about product development, it's about 89% important. They talk about research and development, it's about 86% important. They talked about finance, it's about 85. Human resource, about 77. Business administration is about 77. Marketing is about 76. And sales is about 74. So regardless of the industry that you want to work in, regardless of the field that you want to work in, data skills are super, super important to whatever that you want to do. And those who have a solid foundation in data literacy will go a long way to succeed in the job market or in the modern workspace. Now, let's also look at this. According to the same report, they are saying that data skills are rising in importance over the past 5 years, and the trend isn't likely to stop anytime soon. So they have analyzed, or they asked these recruiters, how important are data skills in the past years, and how is that going to be in the next 5 years? Now, all of them said data skills are going to be in demand in the next 5 years, and the trend is not likely to stop anytime soon. So they asked them, which of these skills have increased in importance in the next, or will increase in importance in the next 5 years? They rank data skills, followed by communication, research skills, project management, and computer programming. So these are the things that are going on in the job market currently, that if you are able to apply analytics to data, to go a long way to help you, regardless of the industry that you find yourself. Now, what are the tools of trade for data analysts? If you want to become a data analyst, or if you want to begin your career as a data analyst, what tools out there are we using? What tools do data analysts use? One of the key tools that most analysts use out there is SQL. And one of them is MySQL. We also have Microsoft SQL Server. So SQL or SQL, or structured query language, is the language that we use to work with databases. And SQL is very important for you as a data analyst. Being able to write languages, or being able to write a script that communicates with databases, try to extract data, try to analyze data from databases, will go a long way to help you. Because most companies have huge amounts of data. And one of the ways that they can store or save their data is to store them in databases like Oracle database, Microsoft SQL Server, and all these platforms. Now, to be able to get data from these platforms, you need to have a skill in SQL, structured query language, how you can write a script that will be able to communicate with databases. One other tool that is very popular among data analysts is Microsoft Excel. Excel is very powerful. And most people think that Excel is very basic. Now, regardless of your level as a data analyst, you'll be using Excel at some point in time. Now, Excel has all the advanced analytical and data visualization capabilities that will help you to get insight from your data. Another tool most companies are using is Python, which is a free and then a general purpose programming language, which has a wide range of applications. For example, you can use it in web development, game development, software development. You can use it in data science, machine learning, financial analytics, and a whole range of applications. So Python is also one of the tools most analysts use. They also have Power BI. Power BI, very powerful business intelligence that helps you to get insight from data and all the rest. We also have Colab, which is a notebook which works with Python. So Colab is free. So if you want to learn Python, you can also use Colab. You don't need to install anything on how to use that. So coming up, we'll be having a series of sections on how to get started with Python using Colab. They also have PowerPoint. So as a data analyst, after analyzing your data, doing all these cool analytics, one of the places where your report will end up is in PowerPoint for business presentations. So these are the tools, or the most popular tools most companies are using currently for data science and data analytics. So now let's look at the use cases of data analytics, how companies are using data analytics. Now, most companies are using data analytics to know more about their customers or their users. Most of them are using data analytics to be able to understand their customers, to be able to know more about their customers. So our customers, where are they coming from? What kind of devices are they using to visit our website? What kind of product are they buying? That's what they are using to understand more about their customers. Most companies are also using data analytics to give their customers more targeted services and products, helping them with useful recommendations. So if you are on platforms like you use Jumia, if you buy things on Jumia, for example, Jumia always come up with recommendations about some of the product that you can buy. Now, they are able to apply analytics to the kind of product that you buy. And based on this, they are able to recommend some product to you. And based on this, they are able to recommend some product to you. So they don't just send you any product, but they send a product that you are likely to buy. They send you product that you are more interested in, rather than sending you a whole lot of product that you will not be interested in. Most companies are also using data analytics to identify their customers who are likely to leave them or will stop using their product. So right now, before a customer will stop using the company's product, the company, if they are applying analytics, they will get to know that this particular customer is likely to stop using their product. So because of this, they can put measures in place to ensure that the customer stays with them. Most of them are also using it to focus their marketing efforts on their customers who are most valuable to them. So right now, the companies doesn't sell to anybody. Because they have the data, they have been able to know that these are the type of people who buy our products. These are the type of people who subscribe to our products. So because of this, they are able to send marketing campaigns, marketing efforts, and other products to these customers who are likely to buy from them. Others are also using data and analytics to detect fraud and cyber attacks. If you take companies like MasterCard and Visa, they all apply analytics to identify any suspicious transactions. Now, this time when you are buying things online with your credit card, some people can get your credit card details. They can use it to make some purchases that you not be aware. Now, because of this, these companies are also applying analytics. So if somebody wants to buy something and that transaction the person wants to use the card for looks suspicious, based on your past transactions, they can flag it as a potential fraud. And because of this, they can stop that transaction until they get a confirmation from the user before they will allow that transaction to go through. So many companies are applying analytics in so many ways. There are so many applications of analytics. Okay. Now let's move on. So now let's take a look at some of these companies that are applying analytics. Now let's take Jumia. I have already given you an example of how Jumia is using data. Now, for example, I buy things on Jumia. Now, most of the time, the things I buy are mostly electronic devices like microphones, cameras, and then other devices that are used in videos and all these ones. So most of the time, when they are sending me ads, they don't just send me everything or anything. They send me ads that are within this category. Now, based on the data that they have realized that these are the kind of products that I buy. So because of this, they try to send me products that are related to my interest. They send me products that are of my interest that I'm likely to buy, and they send those products to me. If you take Uber, for example, those of us who are in Accra and then other places where Uber is, you know how Uber works. Uber also apply analytics. So for example, you order for a car going to a particular location. Based on the data that they have, they can estimate the time that it will take you from your destination to wherever that you are going. They can also estimate the traffic on the road. They can also use this one to even direct drivers on the route that they can use to get to their destination faster. And Uber uses data every time. Now, when you open your mobile phone, for example, I take cars from maybe my location from Accra, maybe. So for my office is at Ridge. So on my phone, immediately I open the app. My locations, they have seen that these are the places that I visit, or these are the places I book Uber to. So anytime I open my phone, then they try to predict my location, because they have seen that this is the place that I most often order cars to. So because of this, they will try to recommend all those locations to me. If you take Amazon, if you have bought anything on Amazon, it also works just like Jumia. They also try to send you targeted ads based on the kind of product that you buy on their products. Now, let's take YouTube, for example. Most of us, we watch videos, games, and other things on YouTube. Now, right now, if I log into my Zoom account or my YouTube account, on my homepage, if you check my homepage and you also open your YouTube account and you also log in, on your homepage, our homepage are different. Why? Because the kind of videos that I watch on the platform are different from yours. So sometimes the videos that you see, they are not all the videos that you have watched, but you can see that they are similar videos. So right now, I can, when you open your YouTube account, I can look at your homepage and I can tell you the kind of things that you watch on the platform. Now, based on what you watch, now, do you know the number of videos that are on YouTube? You have a lot of videos on YouTube, but every time your homepage is customized based on the kind of content that you consume on the platform. If you're on Netflix, it's the same thing. They try to recommend videos that you need to watch based on the kind of videos that you have watched. If you take Google as an example, or Facebook. Now, let's take Facebook as an example. If you go to your homepage, you see sometimes they will try to recommend some friends to you. So there's a section, we call it people you should know. So they try to bring people that you are not connected to, and they try to recommend them to you. Now, if you go through the people, you could say that there are those people that you have met before, or people that you know. No one can tell me that he has seen Bill Gates as part of those people. No, you don't see Bill Gates as part of those people, but your old schoolmates and other people, or people that you work with in the office, or maybe you attend church together, they have been able to analyze the data and see that, okay, you are connected to A, and A is connected to B. So because of this, it's possible that you might know B. They try to recommend all those people to you. Now, you know, Facebook gets more money. They get to know more about you based on your connection. So the more you are connected to people, the more they get to know you better. So every time they try to recommend those people to you. So when you get in touch with those people, they will be able to use that relationship to know more about you. So every time they try to recommend those people to you. Now, they don't just pick people randomly. They try to pick people that you have met or you might know. And most often, if you check those people, if you have not checked before, just log into Facebook right now. Look at those sites where they recommend people to you. Go through it. You see that there are people that you have met before, old schoolmates. All of them will be part of those people that they are trying to recommend, because they have seen that you are connected to somebody and the person is connected to that person. So based on that relationship, they can estimate or forecast that, okay, it's possible you might know this person. So let's try and show the person in your feed so that you try to connect with the person. So most companies are applying data analytics to understand more about their users their customers, and everything that they do. Now, everything these companies are doing is backed by data. So right now, if Facebook is coming up with a product, if Amazon is coming up with a particular product, it's not based on anything. It's based on the data that they have at their disposal. And based on this, they can come up with new products that will be able to meet the demands of people, that will be able to meet the demands of their customers. So most companies are currently applying analytics. Now, so what are the stages that we go through when we want to analyze data? What are the steps data analysts go through? The first stage is about asking questions. It's about asking questions. Now, as a data analyst, you are not analyzing the data to consume yourself. You are analyzing the data to solve a business problem. You are analyzing the data to help somebody. So the first stage about analytics is trying to understand your audience or your stakeholders. Try to define the problem that you are trying to solve and make sure you fully understand your stakeholders. So if you are already a data analyst or you want to start your journey as a data analyst, these are the steps that can help you to be on top of your game. The first is trying to define the problem that you are trying to solve. Try to fully understand your stakeholders. So your boss asks you, please analyze this data for me. Don't just pick the data and start analyzing it. Try to better understand what are his expectations. Try to define the problem that he's trying to solve. So go and back and forth. If there are questions, ask them questions. And when you're asking questions, try to ask straightforward questions. Don't do a closed-end question. Try to come up with open-ended questions that will help them to come up with more information. If you are trying to collect data, as data analysts, you may be collecting data. The data that you'll be working with may not be available as at that time. You need to collect the data. You can interview your colleagues. You can interview your customers, trying to get all these data. Now, in all these processes, try to really understand your stakeholders. What are their expectations? So you'll be able to manage those expectations. So now, we are starting with an example, okay? So remember the data that we're using. The data that we're using, the phone boutique data that we're using. Now we have been tasked to analyze the data. What are some of the problems are you going to try to solve with the problem? Now we have engaged with our stakeholders. That's the first stage. Engage with your stakeholders and know their expectations. What do they expect to get from the analysis that you are doing? Because if you don't understand them, you try to analyze the data in your own way. After presenting the data, you could see that they are not making any decisions with the data. You can see that they are not going to make any decisions using the data. So try and manage your stakeholders' expectations. Try and manage their expectations, okay? And this will go a long way to help you as a data analyst. Try to manage the expectations of your stakeholders. Okay, so if you are taking the phone data as an example, these are some of the questions that you might get from our stakeholders. They want to know, how did you perform in 2020? What brands have high demand? What is the performance of the different brands in different locations? What locations are selling more? And what's the performance of our sales representative? So if you remember that data, let me go back to it. So this is the data that we are provided with, okay? So I'm taking you through, I want to make this as practical as possible. Now, as a data analyst, we have been given this kind of data where we have sales details relating to a company that has phone offices in 5 locations. So they have the country that they sell in, the region that they sell in, the month of the sale, the year, their sales representative, and each of them, the kind of phones that they have sold, the unit price of the phone, the quantity that they have been able to sell, and the total revenue. So here I'm taking you through how, as a data analyst, you have to think through this and be able to solve the problem, okay? So I want to make it as practical as possible. That's why I'm giving this sample data as an example to take you through the process data analyst has to go through. So the first stage is about defining the business requirements. So I've engaged with your stakeholders. You have been able to anticipate or been able to get the kind of business questions that they want to solve. Your boss wants to understand, how did you perform in 2020? What brands have high demand? And what's the performance of the different brands in the different locations? And what locations are selling more? And what's the performance of our sales representatives? So these are the key business requirements that we need to meet as data analysts. We have the data, we need to come up with the data, analyze it to be able to get answers to these business questions. And these are the expectations of our stakeholders. Let's see how we'll be able to go through this. Now, after you have asked the question, you have been able to anticipate, or you have been able to know the expectations of our stakeholders. The next stage is about preparing the data. So here you sit back and you decide, okay, my boss wants to find out how the company performed in 2020. What brands are selling more? Here you have to think through, so what kind of data do I need to collect in order to answer those business questions? And how do I even organize the data so that I'll be able to answer these business questions? So here you have the expectations of your stakeholders in mind. These are the kind of questions my stakeholders want to obtain answers to. So here you decide on the data that you want to collect to be able to understand or be able to answer those business questions. So these are some of the questions that you can ask. How do I figure out how to solve this problem? What research do I need to do? What kind of data do I need to be able to answer these business questions? So after you have ascertained or you have confirmed the expectations of our stakeholders, we move on to how to prepare the data. So here, if you are taking our example that we are using, the phone boutique, these are the kind of things that you can do at the data preparation stage. You decide on the data that you need to solve the problem. You identify the sources of the data that you need. There are so many sources of data. Now, at the broad category, we have two main types. We have a primary data source, and we also have secondary data source. The primary data is the one that you have collected yourself, a first-hand information. Maybe you interviewed your customers. This is a primary data source. They also have a secondary data source. This is a data source that somebody has collected. So you have to determine what source of data do I need to solve the problem, and how do I even get the data? You also need to understand how the data is organized. You filter the data, you try to sort the data, you try to also determine the credibility of the data. So as a data analyst, you don't break any data and you start analyzing it. Try to ascertain the credibility of the data. The data I'm working with, is it credible? Who collected the data? When was the data collected? Why was the data collected? You need to understand all these things, because the analysis that you are going to do, somebody is going to rely on this analysis to make decisions. So if the data is not quality, the data is not credible, it means that whatever decisions that they are going to make is also going to be flawed. So try to also ascertain that credibility of the data that you are working with. Now, after you have prepared your data, the next stage is about processing the data, trying to clean and transform the data. The data that we work currently, most of them are unstructured. Most of them are not cleaned. We need to transform it. We need to shape it. We need to try to find out if the data is quality. So you try to find whether there are any incorrect data, whether there are outliers in your data. If there are duplicates, try to remove all these duplicates, okay, before you start analyzing it. So here we are looking at processing your data. For example, if you are using our case as an example, you have to check for any errors in the data. Do you have any outliers in the data? This is the stage that you also have to determine what kind of tool do you want to use to analyze the data. Remember, when you're looking at the tools of trade, the kind of tools data analysts use, there are so many tools out there. You have to look at the nature of the data that you are working with and decide on the tool that you are going to use to analyze the data. And then during the processing stage, we also look at how we can clean and transform the data for analysis. And you also have to make sure that when you are cleaning your data, you document your processes so that if there are any issues and then something comes up, you know where the issues are coming from. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to be doing. The fourth stage is about analyzing the data. Now, this is when you perform computations, you perform calculations on the data, trying to combine data from so many sources and trying to dig deeper into the data to answer the business questions that your stakeholders need to answer. So here you try to dig deeper into the data to identify trends and patterns in the data, and we can use this to make informed decisions. So if you are taking our case as an example, here, this is when you try to aggregate the data to make sure that the data is accurate. This is when you conduct descriptive analytics, like what's the average orders, what's the minimum order, what is the maximum order, what's our average revenue, what's our average orders that we have received. These are some of the computations that you can do here. You also try to discover trends and patterns in the data, try to investigate any interesting pattern. So after you have analyzed the data, if something comes out interestingly, or there's something that doesn't make sense, that's when you have to investigate it. Don't send it quickly to your stakeholders that, oh, this is what I've been able to find. Try to dig deeper to understand those trends so that when you're explaining everything, you have the fact to back whatever that you are saying, okay? So that's the analysis stage. Then the final stage for you as a data analyst is about creating visualizations to bring your data to life. Now, after you have analyzed the data, you can't present the raw facts to your stakeholders. You have to make sure you put it in the format, you put it in the form that it will make it easier for them to understand. Try to tell story with the data. Try to share the insight with your data by using graphs and charts. So if you are taking our case as an example, here you have to determine the best way that you are going to share your findings. So you have analyzed the data, you have come up with some insight that you want to share with your audience. You have to sit back and look at the best way that you can share your findings with them. How can we create effective data visualization? How do you present your findings? And you also have to make sure that the data or your insight is accessible to your audience. So if you are taking our case as an example, after analyzing the data, this is the insight that we have been able to come up with. The firm wants to know how did they performed in 2020. Now, based on the data, this is the insight that we have come up with. Now, if you take a look at this graph, you can see that for all the years, our total performance in 2020 was below as compared to 2019 and then 2018. And one interesting thing is that our demand decreased in December from that of November. This is an insight. This is something that your stakeholders want to show interest in, or this is something that will trigger your stakeholders to take some actions. So based on this, we highlight this in a very simple format for them to really understand what is going on. Now, immediately look at this chart, you see what is going on. But in the raw data, you'll not be able to see this kind of insight. Now, as a data analyst, you have analyzed everything, and this is the time that you can present your findings to your audience for them to pay attention to what is going on in the data. So with this, we provide them that orders in 2020 was below orders in both 2017 and 2018 and 2019. Total orders in December declined by 26% from November. Now, this will raise a lot of questions in the mind of your audience. So what happened? We are selling phones in December. We believe that this is the time people try to buy gifts for their loved ones. This is the time people try to buy new things. So what happened that our sales in 2020 began to drop in December? So this is the insight that we have gotten from this data. Then we present it to your audience in the form that will make it easier for them to understand. So this is the process that you have to go through as a data analyst when you want to analyze data. You can also put it in this format. The first stage is about identifying the problem. Next stage is about designing the data requirements. What data do you need? The next is about processing the data. After you process your data, you analyze the data, and then finally, you visualize your data. Okay, so these are the steps. If you want to analyze data, these are the steps that you go through in analyzing data. Okay, so take note of them. Now, let's look at types of data analytics. Basically, we have four main types of data analytics that companies or data analysts perform, depending on the business questions that you are trying to solve. What business question are they trying to solve? So we have descriptive analytics. Then we also have diagnostic analytics. Then we have predictive analytics and then prescriptive analytics. So these are the four types of data analytics that we have, depending on the business questions that you are trying to answer, okay? So the first stage, let's look at the descriptive analytics. Now, when you are doing descriptive analytics, you are analyzing the data to understand what happened in the past. You want to understand, okay, in the past, what has been our sales performance? Just like the question that we saw in our sample analysis, where the company wants to know, how did we perform in 2020? This is an example of descriptive analytics. So they are doing descriptive analytics. Data analysts are analyzing the data to understand what happened in the past. So here you can perform some summary statistics. So what has been our average revenue? What has been our minimum revenue? What has been our maximum revenue? These are some of the statistics that you can perform. So if you are taking COVID-19 as an example, as a country, you can sit down and decide, okay, let's analyze our COVID cases for the past maybe 1 year. You analyze the data to be able to understand what has happened in the past. Okay, so what have been our average number of cases? What has been the highest number of cases that we received in a month or in a year? So here we are answering the question, what happened in the past? That's the focus of descriptive analytics. And most companies, those are the kind of analytics that they want to do. Even those ones who are doing advanced analytics, everything it depends on the descriptive analytics. Then from descriptive, we move on to, okay, so this is an example of a descriptive analytics. After we analyze our data, we realize that our total sales dropped by 14.6% in 2020. We also realize that our sales decreased by 25% in December. We also realize that Apple is the most in-demand phone brand based on the past data. So based on this, we have known what went on in the past. This is an example of a descriptive analytics. Then we have diagnostic analytics. So here, as the name implies, you are finding out why did it happen. So you want to diagnose the issues that came up in your descriptive analytics. So you are digging deeper and to find out the reasons for some occurrence in the past. So after we have done our descriptive analytics, we take it further and do diagnostic to understand why did it happen. So in our descriptive analytics, we realize that our total sales dropped by 14% in 2020. And then in December, our sales dropped by 25%. So at the diagnostic stage, we go back and ask the question, so why did our sales drop in December by 25%? Why did our sales drop in 2020? That's when you begin to ask questions. You begin to probe into the reasons why we saw a decline in our data or we saw a decline in our sales. So even yourself, you analyze your data consumption, your usage over time. You realize that last month, your usage went up. You sit back and ask yourself, why did my data consumption went up last month? Or for example, every month you spend like maybe 40 cedis on credit. In one particular month, you realize that you have spent like 50 cedis. You can sit back. So what happened that in this particular month, I spent 50 cedis? When you are doing this, you are doing diagnostic analytics. And that's something that we do it on daily basis. We do it on daily basis. We want to find out why did it happen? Why did this thing happen? And you are doing diagnostic analytics. It's something that we do in data analytics as well. So for example, if you are looking at our case, our sales dropped by 25% in December. Now, based on the data, we are asking the question, why did sales drop in December? And these are the possible answers that we got. That based on the data that we have, it seems that Benin and then other locations couldn't make sales in December. Most of them had a drop in their sales. From here, you can also see that some of the brands also saw a decline in their total orders. If you take Apple and then Huawei, you can see that Huawei dropped by 69% and then Apple dropped by 58% in December. Then you begin to ask your questions. If you want to get answers, you know where to go to get those answers. Is it that at that point in time, we're not getting supply of these mobile phones? Or within these locations, you go to the sales manager for that location and you ask the person the direct question instead of throwing the questions in the air. You know where to focus your attention on because you have done diagnostic analytics and you have gotten the reasons why certain things happened in the past. Okay? Now, so from diagnostic, we move on to predictive analytics. So predictive analytics, as the name implies, you are making predictions. So we are asking the question, what could happen in the future? So here we are asking, what could happen in future? Or what will happen in future? So here we are trying to predict what is likely to happen. So based on the analysis that we have done on our sample company, the phone boutique, we can predict that, okay, next year, our sales is likely to go down. Or next year, demand for our product is likely to go up because of the analysis that we have done. We have seen that in December, these are the things that cause our sales to drop. And looking forward in 2022, these things are going to be there. So because of this, our sales is also going to drop. Or because of this and this, our sales are likely to increase in future. So we also make predictions. Those footballers, you look at, okay, Chelsea has met Barcelona for 10 times. For all the meetings that they have done in the home, Chelsea score Barcelona and all this kind of analysis. So they put all these past performance and then they use it to make forecasts. They use all these to make predictions, whether Chelsea is going to win or whether Barcelona is going to win. So these things are also things that we do in data analysis, trying to make predictions based on past data. So here you build machine learning models, you do statistical analysis and statistical models, trying to predict the future. So here some of the tools that we use is Python and then R. These are the most popular tools most companies use to make predictive analytics. So here, based on our data, we can see that, okay, so over the past 12 months, this has been our total sales. But over the past 1 year, that's how the sales is going. So based on this, we can forecast that this is how our sales is going to perform going into 2021 or 2022. So here we are making what forecast? We are making a prediction. Yeah,
Hello,
hello.
Thomas. Yeah,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
muted.
Okay, sorry. So here we are talking about the last or the final stage or the last type of data analytics. That is the prescriptive analytics. So what we are saying is that with prescriptive analytics, as the name implies, we are making recommendations. We are prescribing some future courses of actions. So we use those to recommend future courses of actions. So let's take COVID-19 as an example. Now we have analyzed our cases as a country at the descriptive analytics stage. Okay, last year, 2020, what was our number of cases that we recorded over the month? Now, based on this analysis, we realized that in December, our number of cases went up. Now, we move on to the next phase, which is the diagnostic analytics. So here we want to understand why did our number of cases rise up? So during the diagnostic analytics stage, we are trying to find reasons into why our number of cases rise up in December. Now, based on this and this and that, these are the factors accounting for the increase in our number of cases. Now, based on this, we can predict that, okay, coming up in December, this is where our number of cases are going to be. It's likely that our number of cases will rise up. Now, during the prescriptive analytics stage, this is when we can prescribe the courses of actions based on our predictive analytics that we have done. That, okay, based on the data that we have, it's likely that next month our number of cases will go up. So what should we do? We have to tighten our precautionary measures that we are putting in place. We have to do this and do so many things that will help you to achieve whatever that you want to do. So for example, if you are taking our phone boutique as an example, based on the data, realize that in December, coming up in December, it's likely that our sales will drop. Now, based on this, we can prescribe some actions that, because it's likely that our sales is going to drop, we are recommending that we should offer more discounts. We should increase our marketing campaigns so that people are going to buy more. So during the prescriptive analytics stage, this is when we recommend future courses of actions. So here we are answering the question, what should be done? or what should we do so I'll be able to achieve our goal? Our goal here is to increase our demand in December. What do we do? These are the recommendations. We should offer discount. When you offer discount, this is how our orders are going to be. When you increase our marketing campaign, this is how our orders are going to be. This is how customers are going to respond to our marketing campaigns based on the data that we have. So these are the four main types of data analytics that we have: descriptive analytics, diagnostic, predictive, and then prescriptive analytics. Now, back into the game. What are some of the roles that you can play as a data analyst or somebody with data skills? You can become a data analyst. You can also become a BI analyst or business intelligence analyst. You can also pursue a career in financial analytics or financial analyst. You can also become a data analyst or data scientist. You can also become HR data analyst. Here you are applying data analytics in HR. We have people analytics. To those who are in the HR industry, you know people analytics. You are trying to apply analytics to your staff to really understand how they behave and some of the things that will cause your staff to contribute more to your company and other things. You can also become a marketing analyst or a fraud analyst. And these people are being employed in these credit card companies and then other places or online stores and others. Fraud analyst. You can also become a data visualization specialist. So these are some of the roles that you can pursue in the data space. And then we also have industry-specific roles, industry-specific. So in the industry, in the marketing, you can become a marketing analyst. You can also do financial analyst when you are in the finance industry. So actually, data analytics is a blend of different fields, okay? You have people who have different backgrounds who are data analysts, and they are applying analytics in their respective fields. So it doesn't mean that if you want to pursue accounting, if you want to pursue finance, you have to stop finance and come into data analytics. No, you can apply finance or you can apply analytics in finance. If you are an HR person, it doesn't mean that you want to become analyst, you have to stop HR. No, you can apply HR or you can apply analytics in your HR field. If you want to pursue risk, you can also become risk analyst. If you are in the healthcare industry, you can also become healthcare analyst, where you are applying analytics in the healthcare industry to be able to solve problems. Because data analytics is all about solving problems. So it doesn't care, it doesn't depend on where you are, what like you want to pursue a career in data analytics, so you have to stop what, no, we apply it in specific fields. So if you have a background in finance, you just learn how data analytics works, how we analyze data, and look at how you can apply this in your field. Me, for example, I have a background in finance and accounting. So what I do basically is to apply my analytics in finance. So in my firm, like Zenith Bank, that's what I do. Every analysis that I do relates to financial data. Somebody at HR department also apply analytics in HR. Somebody who is in IT also apply analytics in IT. So we have IT analysts. So regardless of the field that you are in, you can still pursue data analytics, where you are looking at how you can apply analytics in your field to solve problems. Now, let's look at some of the roles that we have in data analytics. We have already looked at them. Like these are the key roles that we have, like data analyst, data scientists, and data engineers. Let's look at the difference between them. Because most of us, we have heard about data scientists or data science, data analytics, and this data engineer. What's the difference between them? Now, let's first focus on the problem solving. What problem are they solving? With data analysts, our main goal is to analyze data to discover trends and patterns and get insight from data. That's our main goal as data analysts. So we give the data, we ascertain or we estimate the expectations of our stakeholders. We try to get the problems they are trying to solve. Then we pick the data that we need, we analyze it to discover trends and patterns, and we get insight, which we can share with our stakeholders. But with data scientists, their main focus is to perform deeper analysis, trying to develop predictive models that will be able to solve complex data problems. So with data analysts, their main problem or their main task is to perform deeper analysis on the data and try to develop predictive models that will be able to predict, that will be able to forecast some of the things that are likely to happen. And they can use that to solve complex business problems. But if you take data engineers, data engineering is also a new field. It's not a new field, it's an already existing field, but it's something that is emerging now. With data engineers, their main focus is to make sure that the data is available for usage by data scientists and data analysts. So their main goal is to develop, create, and build data pipelines so that when data analysts and data scientists need data, the data will be readily available to them. Now let's look at some of the skills that you need if you want to become data analyst or data scientist or data engineer. If you want to become data analyst, basic skills in programming languages like SQL, Python, or R is some of the skills that you need. Programming language, like basic skills in R or Python or SQL. You also have to have a skill in data visualization, how to visualize data. You must also have business intelligence tools, like have knowledge in business intelligence tools like Microsoft Power BI or Tableau. And you should also have analytical thinking. These are the skills that you need to begin your journey as a data analyst. If you want to go into data science, you need to have skill in machine learning, data modeling, and programming. You might also need some advanced statistics and predictive analytics. But if you want to become data scientist, you can begin your journey as a data analyst. As you get more experience and more exposed to these skills and some of these tools, you can then begin your journey as a data scientist. If you also want to become a data engineer, you should have a solid foundation in SQL or NoSQL. Python skills is also relevant. You should also have a skill in Java, R, and then Scala. You should also have knowledge in relational and non-relational databases. You should also have a skill in big data tools like Hadoop and then MongoDB. You must also have a skill in cloud computing, like how to use Microsoft Azure, Google Clouds, or how to use AWS. These are some of the skills that you also need to have if you want to begin your career as a data engineer. You must also have a skill in data security, how you can secure data. It's also very key, how to secure data. So these are the skills that you need if you want to embark in any of these data analytics field. You can become a data analyst or data scientist. Now let's look at some of the technical skills that you need to become a data analyst. I have mentioned this already. Basic coding skills like R or Python or SQL. And then expertise in SQL is also very key. You should also have some data visualization skills like using Power BI or Tableau or advanced Excel skills. It's also very key. You must also have experience working and then extracting data from different data sources. Okay, all these things are going to help you as well. Then what are some of the soft skills that you need as a data analyst? Communication skills is very key. Now, in a typical organization, you'll be working with people with different backgrounds in different departments. So you have to learn how to communicate really well, because data is all about communication, trying to communicate your findings. Because after you have analyzed your data, you are going to share your insights with non-technical guys. So you need to learn how to communicate well with people. You need to learn how to put whatever or the story across clearly so that people will be able to understand your insight and they can make decisions out of it. You should also have problem-solving skills. You should be somebody who is able to follow structured process in solving problems with data. You should also have a critical thinking mindset, and then being able to work in teams. Team working spirit is also very key, or team working skills, being able to relate with other people, because you'll be working on projects, and the project you have marketing guys in the team, you have digital marketers in the team, you have data scientists in the team, you have your fellow data scientists, you may be having project managers all in the same team. So having a team working skills will also go a long way to help you as a data analyst. Then you should also be curious, okay? If something happens in the data, be curious to find out, why is the data behaving this way? Why is the data telling me this? You have to dig deeper into all these kind of things. And these are some of the soft skills that you need as a data analyst. Now, that's the end of my presentation. Let me show you the last thing here. Now, let's look at how the job looks like for data analytics. Now, this is a research done by Stack Overflow. So there's a platform where you want to search for anything relating to tech. That's the place that we go. Now, they did a survey. Now, these are the key insights. So here they ask questions about what kind of profession, like professions, developers, what are their salaries? Okay, this is one of the key things that you might want to know. How are data analysts paid? Now, when you scroll down, we have the average salaries for those people that they they try to survey in their research. Now we have data engineering managers. That's how much they take. And now if you take a look at this, you can see that we have data analysts here. And this is the average a data analyst collects. Okay. And you can see that it's just below the about 6 rows. Now we have data scientists and machine learning specialists. We also have data and business analysts, and that's the average that they get. We have project managers below it. We have marketing, even developers are here. Now you can see that data analysts or business analysts also earn, in terms of the industry, they also earn more, okay? Because if you take a look at this, we have a whole lot of people here. Developers are here, front-end developers, designers, educators, developers, those who do game, and then database administrators, they're all here. But you can see that data analysts earn more as compared to the other people in the tech space. Now let's look at one interesting insight from here. Let's look at one interesting insight. Now, so here, we are looking at the correlation between your number of experience and the salary that you receive, okay? So here we have the average number of experience and the average salary or the median salary that they receive. So if you take data analyst, you can see that they are here. So you can see that with the number of experience, they don't require so much number of experience, but look at the average salary that they are earning. If you take somebody who is a front-end developer, this is the average number of experience they need, and look at the salary that they are getting. But with data scientists or data analysts, you could see that the number of experience is way below the number of experience for mobile app developers and front-end developers, but they earn more than these people. So it means that if you have some level of experience in the data space, you stand a chance of being earned more, because right now, everything is about data. Every company wants to understand their data. They want to understand their customers more. If they want to come up with new products, they want to know how customers are going to respond to those products. At first, we bring the product and we see how people respond to the product and we act. But this time, they sit back and then analyze their data to see whether this product that we are bringing, are customers going to buy them? What are some of the key features our customers want to see in the product? So even before the product comes into the market, they already have the features that the customers will jump into it. So this is an exciting field. And if you are somebody who wants to embark in this journey, I would encourage you to start, okay? Analyzing data, trying to get insight from data is very exciting, okay? So how do you get started? At First Man, we provide training in all these areas. So we have data programs for data scientists. If you also want to start as a junior entry-level data analyst, we also have a course for you. So we have our data incubator, which runs for 8 weeks, and it prepares you to begin your journey as entry-level analyst. Then we also have our data accelerator program, which is for advanced users. So if you also want to, maybe you're a working professional, you want to learn more about your data, you want to learn how you can apply analytics in your work, we also take you through that. Now, some of the tools that we use Excel, Power BI, we teach Python, we teach Tableau, we also teach R. And one thing is that going into 2022, we are introducing new programs, which will enable you to be certified by Google, IBM, and then Microsoft as a data analyst. So if you want to learn more, you can visit our website at hub.firstman.io, and you'll be able to learn more about what you are doing and then our upcoming programs. So I'm sharing the link in the chat. You can visit our page to learn more about these programs and how you can enroll. So if you want to learn more about data analytics, we have new programs coming up next year. If you register now, you'll be able to get some discounts that will help you to pay lower price. So I've shared it in the link. You can visit our page and look at some of the courses that we offer. We also have online courses that you can register and enroll at your own pace. So I'm going to give the platform. If you have any questions, you can ask. So John, you can moderate the section for those who have questions.
Thomas, thank you very much for that insightful presentation. So guys, The room has been opened. If you have question or any clarification, the course of the presentation, you can just unmute yourself and ask. In case your background is noisy, you can also bring your question in the chat box. Whilst we wait for, so just raise your hand and I'll call you. Whilst we wait for the questions, we also have our social media handle. So you can follow us on Facebook, First Man Learning Hub. We're on Facebook, First Man Learning Hub, LinkedIn, First Man Learning Hub. And then our WhatsApp page, I've put the link to the WhatsApp page in the group. So you can join our WhatsApp page using the link that I've just pasted. All right, so two people. Well, the first one, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. First man. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Please, I would like to know if there's slides for the presentation. That's thank you.
All right. So the second person. Another person.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to know if for someone starting between Python and R, which one would be more better or conducive for the person to learn first between R and Python?
All right. Okay, noted. So the next person was raised the hand. Yeah. Let me take 5 questions, then you can. Okay, let me take the one question in addition, then Thomas can respond. Yes.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, ask your question.
Please, I wanted to know that what about those of us who are not having a laptop or a personal computer, but a smartphone? Would that be enough to, that's if we are interested in being data analysts or scientists? Would it be enough to have, yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Thomas, respond to this question, then after that, we can take the other set of questions.
Okay, so the first question, the person wants to know whether the slides will be available. Unfortunately, this slide will not be made available, but you can have access the videos when the videos are available. We'll make sure that you guys have the videos. Okay, so by close of day, the videos will be available, and we share the link with you via the emails that you provided when you register for the program. But for the slides, no. Yeah. And then the other question, the guy wants to find out if you want to start out with either R or Python, which one should you go for? With these two applications, I wouldn't say you should go for this or that. But if you want to start, okay, just pick one of them based on the resources that are available to you. So I don't know how best you learn. We have other people who assume or who are saying that R is easier to learn than Python. We also have people who say Python is also easier to pick, but don't fall for those kind of debates. Just pick one of them and then master it, okay? When you master one of them, moving to the other one becomes easier. And I remember when I was also starting out, I learned R. I will learn R for some time. Later on, I listen to something, then I stop R and I go and learn Python. Later on, I stop Python, I come back to learn R. And I realized I wasn't making any progress. So I just picked one of them and then I mastered it, okay? So just pick one of them, either R or Python. And then when you have that knowledge, moving to the other app will be, or the other platform will be easier for you, okay? But for me personally, I prefer R to Python. I prefer R to Python, but that doesn't mean it. You can just pick one of them based on what you want to do. Just pick one of them, master it. When you master it, you can easily move into the other one, okay, based on the knowledge that you have already acquired. But if you try to follow debate, move one, you'll not make any progress. So just pick one of them, master it. When it becomes relevant that you want to move to the other one, you can easily switch to the other platform. Yeah. And the other question is that what if you don't have a laptop and you want to start out? Though you can learn on your phone, but most of the training, especially our trainings, are highly practical. So just using the phone will not be advisable. Though you can watch our videos, you can join Zoom and everything, but you need the laptop for practicals. So try, if something that you can afford, just get a mini laptop that you can work with, or ask somebody to borrow you his or hers, and then be using it for the meantime, okay? So whatever means that you can use to get a laptop, try to get it will help you. Just learn though you can learn on your mobile phone, but the pace at which you'll be able to practicalize what you have learned will be better if you are using the laptop. So I will recommend that you should go with the laptop. Try and then get a laptop. Try and get a laptop. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much, Thomas. And let's take the second question. So as usual, just raise your hand.
I saw a question in the chat. I don't know whether you've seen it.
Okay, I have not. Okay, how much is the data analytics course entry level online? Okay. So she's asking how much the course is.
Okay, so let me take you through the courses that we so that you guys can get understanding of our two courses. Okay, so let me quickly do that here. So this is our website for our data incubator. So the data incubator program is an 8 weeks program, okay, which is designed to help you to begin your career as a data analyst. So let's wait for the page to load and then I will take you through that. So this is the page. So if you take a look at this, okay, I increase the, okay. So the data incubator program is a 6 weeks program. Now, the main focus is to help you as a beginner to begin your career as a data analyst. So here, this is the structure of our programs. They are structured so that you'll be able to learn at your own pace. You also join live sections. You're also going to be working on real-world projects. So our programs are hands-on, okay, hands-on. So this is where our users, so this is when the program will start. We are starting the program on the 1st of January, and we are going to end in February. We are going to have 6 weeks online sections together with live recorded videos that you can learn. So on Saturdays, we start at 8:30 and then finish at 11:30 on Saturdays. So these are the tools that you are going to learn. You are going to learn advanced Excel and the Microsoft SQL Server, how you can use SQL. So these are the courses. We do advanced Excel for analytics and then SQL for data querying and then analytics. So this is the pricing. So this is a full price. So if you are a professional, somebody like somebody who is working, it's $750 for the entire program. If you want to pay on monthly basis, it's $400 per month. If you are a student, you'll be paying just 400 cedis. You can also pay on monthly basis. So every month you pay just 200 cedis. If you are a student, so student is 200 cedis, non-student is 400 cedis. So this includes national service personnel as well. So if you're a national service personnel or you are a student, you pay 200 cedis per month, or you can pay 400 at a go. So these are the programs. So you are going to have this kind of sections. So these are samples of dashboards that you are going to create during the program. So you're going to learn how to design all these dashboards during the program. Then we also have our accelerator program. So the accelerator is developed for advanced users, those who have a background in Excel. Those who have background in Excel and they want to take that up, you can also enroll in our accelerator program. Okay, that one is a little bit advanced. So when you are done with the incubator and you want to take it further, then after the incubator program, you can join the accelerator program, which is advanced. Okay, yeah. So if you're a beginner, we always advise you to start with the incubator. The other thing is that with all these two courses, if you are interested in getting certified by Google or IBM, we also structured the course to also prepare you for that. So after the program, you also earn a digital certificate from Google as a certified data analyst, or you can also pick IBM program and you'll be able to do all these things. Then we also have our accelerator program. This is a little bit advanced, okay? This is also going to run for how long? This is also going to run for 9 weeks, starting from January 15th. And here, these are the things you learn. You learn more than Excel. you learn Power BI, then you also learn Python. And then finally, you learn how to develop business presentations using PowerPoint. So these are the 4 courses that we also have in the Accelerator program. So with the Accelerator program, this is the price. If you are registering before January, you are going to pay $999. If you want to pay on monthly basis for 2 months, you pay $510 for 2 months. If you're a student, you are going to pay 300 cedis every month for 2 months. So it means that in all, you are paying 600. So students and national service personnel, that's how much you'll be paying, 300 cedis per month for 2 months. If you're a non-student and you want to enroll, you also pay 510 per month for just 2 months. Okay, so you are going to learn, this is also the dashboards that we are going to develop in this course. Okay, so here you learn Python, you will learn Power BI, you would also learn PowerPoint, and then also learn more than Excel. So these are the courses that we have coming up. Okay, yeah.